My parents chose my sister over me for 25 years. So I left them a letter and disappeared. 3 days later, my sister called. Her voice was shaking with rage. "You've got to be kidding. This can't be real." She'd just read the letter I left on the kitchen table. The one that explained everything. My sister thought I was lying, exaggerating, making things up to play victim. She actually laughed when she called. "None of this happened the way you're saying it did. You're twisting everything." But I wasn't twisting anything. And what my sister didn't know as she mocked me over the phone was what I'd been doing for the past 3 years. What I'd been collecting. What I'd been documenting while they all thought I was just the quiet one who never complained. When I sent her the file 2 hours later, her laughter stopped. When she opened those documents, everything changed. And when she finally understood that every word in my letter was backed by evidence they couldn't deny, the next call I got wasn't an apology. It was something much worse. What my family didn't know as they gathered in that living room reading my letter was that I hadn't just disappeared. I'd made sure they could never pretend I was wrong. And by the time they realized what I'd really done, it was already too late to fix anything. If you're watching this right now, drop a comment and let me know where you're viewing from. I want to know I'm not the only one whose family refused to see the truth until it was too late. My name is Chloe Reynolds, and I'm 25 years old. I grew up in Sacramento, California, with my parents Vincent and Laura and my older sister Elena, who's 29. From the outside, we looked like a successful upper-middle-class family. My dad was a marketing executive. My mom ran her own interior design business. We had a beautiful house, went on nice vacations, seemed to have everything. What nobody saw was how I'd spent my entire life in Elena's shadow. She was the firstborn, the golden child, the daughter my parents had planned for and wanted. I was the surprise, the accident that came 4 years later when they thought they were done having kids. They never said it directly, but I felt it in every decision they made. Before I tell you about the letter that changed everything and the evidence that destroyed my family's version of reality, hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real stories about invisible children who finally walked away. These stories might help you recognize the truth about your own family. Growing up, the difference in treatment was everywhere. When Elena wanted art classes, my parents enrolled her in the most expensive program in Sacramento and paid $600 a month without question. When I asked if I could take photography classes, they said it was too much money and I should use my phone camera instead. When Elena wanted to study abroad in Paris for a semester, they paid $22,000 to make it happen. When I asked about a summer study program in Costa Rica that cost $3,500, they said we couldn't afford it and I should focus on saving money. Elena has always been more ambitious, my mom would say when I pointed out the difference. She takes advantage of opportunities. "You're more of a homebody anyway." What she meant was, Elena is worth investing in. You're not. I got my first job at 14, working at a local bookstore. By 16, I was working 20 hours a week while going to school. I saved every dollar while watching my parents hand Elena money whenever she asked. When college came, my parents paid Elena's full tuition at a private art school. $38,000 a year for 4 years. They paid her rent in a downtown apartment. They bought her a car. They gave her a monthly allowance for food and expenses. Everything. For me, they said I should go to community college for 2 years to save money, then transfer to a state school. They'd help when they could, which turned out to be $2,800 over 4 years total. I worked full-time night shifts at a hospital while taking classes during the day. I transferred to Sacramento State and kept working 40 hours a week. I graduated with $32,000 in student loans. Elena graduated debt-free with a degree in fine arts. After graduation, Elena moved to Los Angeles to pursue her art career. My parents funded her for 2 years while she worked part-time at a coffee shop and painted. They paid her rent, her car payment, her health insurance, everything. She was finding herself, and they were happy to finance it. I got a job at a marketing firm in Sacramento, making $48,000 a year. Not great, but it was a start. I lived in a tiny studio apartment that cost $750 a month. No air conditioning. Paper-thin walls. But I could afford it and still pay down my loans. I watched my parents visit Elena in LA constantly. Weekend trips, fancy dinners, helping her move to better apartments. Meanwhile, they'd come to my place maybe 3 times in 2 years, always with some comment about how small it was or how I should have chosen a better neighborhood. When my car broke down and I asked if they could lend me $900 for repairs, my dad said, "You have a steady job now. You should have an emergency fund." This is a good lesson in financial responsibility. I put it on a credit card and paid it off over 8 months. By the time I was 22, I'd started keeping track of things. Not because I was planning anything, but because I was starting to feel like I was losing my mind. Like maybe I was imagining how different they treated us. So I started writing things down. Every time they gave Elena money, I noted it. Every time they visited her, but not me. Every birthday where her gift was extravagant and mine was an afterthought. Every holiday where her achievements were celebrated and mine were mentioned in passing. I kept a spreadsheet. I saved text messages. I screenshot social media posts where they gushed about Elena's art shows, but never mentioned my promotions at work. I wasn't planning to do anything with this information. I just needed to know I wasn't crazy. By 24, the pattern was undeniable. My parents had given Elena approximately $380,000 over 10 years. College, rent, car, living expenses, funding her art career, everything. They'd given me $4,200 total. Birthday money, one emergency loan they made me pay back, occasional grocery money when I was in college. The money wasn't even the worst part. It was the attention, the pride, the love. Elena's art shows were events my parents flew to LA for. My promotion to senior account manager was acknowledged with a text that said, "Nice job." Elena's birthday parties were planned months in advance with themes and guest lists. Mine were forgotten until the day of. Then they'd take me to dinner and spend the whole time talking about Elena. When Elena got engaged to her boyfriend Marcus, my parents cried with joy. They immediately started planning a wedding, offering to pay for everything, talking about venues and dresses. When I mentioned I'd been dating someone for a year, my mom said, "Oh, that's nice, honey," and changed the subject back to Elena's wedding plans. That's when I started planning to leave. Not just move away, but really leave. Disappear from their lives the same way I'd been invisible in them my whole life. I got a job offer in Seattle. A senior marketing position at a tech company, salary of $89,000. I accepted immediately and told no one. I spent 3 months preparing. I found an apartment in Seattle and signed a lease remotely. I arranged for movers. I transferred my utilities, updated my address, did everything I needed to start a new life. And I wrote the letter. It took me 2 weeks to write it. I wanted every word to be accurate, every example to be specific, every emotion to be honest. The letter was 12 pages long. It detailed every major instance of favoritism I could remember. It included specific dollar amounts they'd given Elena versus what they'd given me. It listed birthdays they'd forgotten, achievements they'd ignored, moments when I needed them and they chose her instead. I didn't write it to be cruel. I wrote it to be true, because I knew if I just disappeared, they'd tell themselves some story about me being ungrateful or difficult. They'd never actually examine their own behavior. This way, they couldn't pretend they didn't know. The last paragraph said, "I'm not writing this to hurt you or to ask for anything. I'm writing this so you understand why I'm leaving and why I won't be coming back. You have the daughter you always wanted. Elena has everything she needs from you. I'm done trying to earn a place in this family that was never really available to me. Don't look for me. Don't try to fix this. It's too late. I hope you're happy with the choice you made every single day for 25 years. Goodbye." I left the letter on the kitchen table on a Sunday morning while they were at Elena's house helping her prepare for her engagement party. I told them I couldn't come because of work, but really I was loading the last of my things into a moving truck. By the time they found the letter that evening, I was already in Oregon, halfway to Seattle. I turned off my phone. I didn't want to see their responses. Didn't want the calls or texts or attempts to explain. I just wanted silence. I got to Seattle late that night. My new apartment was empty, but mine. I sat on the floor and felt nothing. No sadness, no regret. Just quiet relief that I'd finally done it. I turned my phone back on 3 days later. There were 89 missed calls, 67 text messages, Multiple voicemails. Most were from my parents, but several were from Elena. I listened to one voicemail from my mom. She was crying, saying the letter wasn't fair, that I was remembering things wrong, that they'd always loved me equally. I deleted it. And I listened to Elena's voicemail. That's when I heard her say it. "You've got to be kidding. This can't be real. You're making this up to hurt us." She wasn't sad. She was angry, offended that I dare suggest our parents had favor her. Like my 25 years of being overlooked was something I'd invented. She called again while I was listening to her voicemail. I answered. "Chloe, what the hell is this letter? Mom's been crying for 2 days. Dad's furious. You can't just drop something like this and disappear." I didn't disappear. I moved. There's a difference. You accused Mom and Dad of favoritism. You listed all this money they supposedly gave me. You made it sound like they neglected you. None of that is true. All of it is true. You're twisting things, making yourself the victim. Yes, they helped me financially, but that's because I needed help. You've always been more independent. I wasn't more independent. I had no choice but to be independent because they gave everything to you. That's not fair. You're bitter because they supported my dreams. They funded your dreams while I worked 3 jobs to pay for community college. That's not me being bitter. That's me stating facts. You're exaggerating everything. The money, the attention, all of it. You're making them sound like terrible parents, and they're not. Elena, they gave you $380,000 over 10 years. They gave me $4,000. That's not exaggeration. That's math. Silence on the other end. "You're lying," she finally said. "There's no way it's that much. I have documentation. Bank statements, Venmo transactions, receipts, everything. Do you want me to send it to you? You've been tracking money they gave me? That's insane." No. What's insane is pretending there wasn't a massive difference in how they treated us. I tracked it because I needed to know I wasn't imagining it. You need therapy, Chloe. This is unhealthy. What's unhealthy is spending 25 years trying to get your parents to notice you exist while they pour everything into your sister. I'm done with that. I'm done with all of you. So you're just going to cut us off? Abandon your family? You can't abandon people who were never really there for you. She hung up. I sat there holding my phone, waiting to feel something. Guilt maybe, or sadness. But I just felt tired. 2 hours later, I sent Elena a file. Every bank statement I'd collected showing money transfers to her. Every text message where our parents discussed helping her without telling me. Every email about planning her future. Every social media post where they celebrated her and ignored me. 3 years of documentation, organized chronologically. I sent it with no message. Just the file. She called back an hour later. Her voice was different this time. Quieter. Shaken. I didn't realize it was this much. Now you know. But they were just helping me get established. They knew you were more capable of handling things on your own. They decided I was more capable because it was easier than treating us equally. They didn't want to admit they had a favorite, so they told themselves you needed more help. Chloe, I didn't ask them to. Yes, you did. Every time you asked for money, every time you called crying about how hard things were, every time you let them fund your life, you were asking for it. And you never once thought about how it felt to watch them give you everything while I got nothing. What do you want me to say? I don't want you to say anything. I'm not calling for an apology or reconciliation. I'm just done pretending this is a normal family that treated its children fairly. You're going to regret this. Cutting us off, burning bridges. You'll regret it. The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. I hung up and blocked her number. Then I blocked my parents. Every method of contact gone. Over the next few weeks, they tried everything. Emails from different accounts. Messages through distant relatives. My mom even called my workplace, and HR had to tell her I'd requested no contact from family members. My dad sent a certified letter to my new address, though I have no idea how he got it. The letter said I was being unfair and cruel, that I'd always been overly sensitive, that they'd done their best with both daughters, and I was punishing them for loving Elena. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say that I hadn't already said in my letter. 3 months after I moved to Seattle, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line was from Elena. I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. Chloe, I've been going through old photos and thinking about everything you wrote in your letter. I've been talking to Marcus about it too. He pointed out some things I didn't want to see. Like how at my engagement party, Mom and Dad talked about me the whole time and barely mentioned you were even their daughter. Or how they paid for my entire wedding but you're not even invited because we're not speaking. I think I've been so focused on my own life that I didn't notice what was happening to you. Or maybe I noticed, but it was easier to pretend I didn't. I'm not asking you to forgive me or Mom and Dad. I'm just saying I see it now. You were right about everything. And I'm sorry I called you a liar.
Elena.
I read that email 5 times. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever gotten from anyone in my family. But it didn't change anything. Acknowledgement without action is just words. I didn't respond. 6 months into my new life in Seattle, I was thriving. I'd gotten another promotion at work. I'd made friends who actually showed up for me. I'd started therapy to process everything. I was dating someone who treated me like I mattered. My apartment wasn't fancy, but it was mine. My life wasn't perfect, but it was real. And for the first time ever, I wasn't trying to earn love from people who'd already decided I wasn't worth the effort. Then one day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Washington State area code. I answered thinking it might be work-related. Chloe? A woman's voice I didn't know. Yes. This is Sandra Chen. I'm your mother's therapist. She asked me to reach out to you. I'm not interested in hearing from my mother through her therapist. I understand. I'm not calling to convince you of anything. Your mother wanted me to tell you that she's been in therapy for 4 months working through everything you wrote in your letter. She's asked me to let you know that she understands now why you left. She's not asking for contact or forgiveness. She just wanted you to know she sees it now. Sees what? How she treated you differently than Elena. How she prioritized one daughter over the other. How she made you feel invisible. She wanted you to know she's not making excuses anymore. I was quiet for a long moment. That's good for her. I hope therapy helps. She also wanted me to tell you that she set up a fund in your name, money to cover what she should have given you over the years. She's not trying to buy forgiveness. She said she just wants to correct the financial imbalance, even if she can't fix the emotional damage. I don't want her money. She said you might say that. The account is in your name regardless. You can access it or not. That's your choice. Is that all? That's all. She said she loves you and she's sorry. And that if you never speak to her again, she understands why. The therapist hung up. I sat there staring at my phone. Later that day, I got an email with account information. A savings account with $375,000 in it. Close to what they'd given Elena over the years. I didn't touch it. I didn't need it. I'd built my life without them. But something about that account existing made me feel seen in a way I never had before. Like finally, someone was acknowledging that what happened to me was real. A year after I left, Elena got married. I saw photos on social media from mutual acquaintances. My parents were there, of course. Smiling, celebrating, giving speeches. I wasn't invited. I wouldn't have gone if I had been. But seeing those photos didn't hurt the way I thought it might. I felt nothing. They were strangers to me now. 2 years after leaving, I got engaged to the man I'd been dating. His name was Aaron, and he came from a big, chaotic family that actually showed up for each other. His parents treated me better in 6 months than my own parents had in 25 years. We got married in a small ceremony in Seattle. Just friends and Aaron's family. It was perfect. Nobody from my biological family knew about it. I didn't tell them. Why would I? 3 years after I left Sacramento, I got a message from my dad. It came through LinkedIn because he'd run out of other ways to contact me. Chloe, I don't expect you to respond. I just want you to know that your mother and I have been working on understanding what we did wrong. Your letter destroyed us. Not because you were cruel, but because you were right. We have 2 daughters, and we only really knew one of them. I failed you. Every day from the moment you were born until the day you left. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally understand. Dad. I read it once and left it on read. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Now, 5 years after I left that letter on the kitchen table and disappeared, I'm 30 years old. I live in Seattle with my husband. I have a career I love, friends who show up, a life built entirely on my own terms. I have no relationship with my parents or sister. I don't know what they're doing. I don't follow them on social media. I've never touched the money in that account they set up. Elena sends me an email every year on my birthday. Just one line. Happy birthday. I still think about you. I never respond. Maybe she's genuinely sorry. Maybe she's changed. But I'm not interested in finding out. The damage is permanent. My parents have stopped trying to contact me. I think they finally understood that my letter wasn't a cry for help or attention. It was a goodbye. Final and complete. Sometimes people ask if I regret cutting off my family, if I think about reconciliation, if I miss them. The answer is always no. You can't miss people who were never really present in your life. You can't reconcile with people who spent 25 years showing you exactly who they were. That letter was the truest thing I ever wrote. Every word of it was accurate. Every example was real. And the fact that my sister's first reaction was to say, "You've got to be kidding," told me everything I needed to know. Even when confronted with the truth, they didn't want to see it. But I forced them to see it. With that letter. With that evidence. With my permanent absence. And whether they've changed or not doesn't matter. Because I'm not doing this for them anymore. I did it for me. For the 14-year-old working at a bookstore while her sister got handed everything. For the 18-year-old working night shifts to pay for college. For the 22-year-old spending holidays alone because her family was celebrating her sister. For every version of me that tried so hard to be seen and never was. That letter set me free. Walking away set me free. Building a life where I'm valued set me free. And I'd do it all over again, without hesitation. Because here's what I learned from being the forgotten daughter. Family isn't determined by blood. It's determined by who shows up. By who celebrates you. By who treats you like you matter. My biological family failed at that for 25 years. My chosen family succeeds at it every day. The letter I left wasn't meant to destroy them. It was meant to free me. And it did. Have you ever been the invisible child? Have you had to leave a letter behind because your family refused to hear you? Have you walked away from people who chose someone else over you every single day? Share your stories in the comments. Let's talk about the moment you chose yourself over people who never chose you. If this story resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe for more real stories about forgotten children who finally walked away and never looked back. Share this with someone who needs to hear that leaving isn't giving up. It's choosing yourself. Thank you for watching. And remember, you don't owe your presence to people who made you feel invisible. The family that couldn't see you doesn't deserve access to the person you became without them. That letter you're afraid to write? Maybe it's time. Not for them. For you.